Hello Cancer, this is your extended reading. So the most interesting thing just happened. When I was shuffling the cards came in a certain order that was telling me a story, but now that I just, I was about to start recording, it came with a slightly different message, and I feel like this is not the truer version of it, but maybe something that you weren't aware of. And I want to say what happened at home or in this this safe harbor that you left. It's like when you left, things happen, but there's something that was told to you or that was transmitted to you, um and I want to say, like, by one of these people that are now happy to see you back, right? um it's like they gave you some advice that maybe was not that tangible to you, and now that you came back with all of that of experience, right, and knowledge that you learned by overcoming a lot of tough things, right? You are, it's like there is this transformation. Well, the death card is the transformation. Maybe we're talking about this transformation of an idea, of a concept, of something that was maybe too hard for you to grasp, for you to really understand and make it real, to incorporate it. So we begin with this Four of Pentacles. I was going to say the Four of Swords. The Four of Pentacles. But this is coming back to this Five of Pentacles that we saw in the first part, Cancer. So this card was talking about the arrival, right? So these Four Pentacles here, which are here, are talking about the place of arrival before you arrived, right? So it's like what happened when you were gone, right? This thing about, like, not, well, you cannot be in two places at the same time, right? So when you were out there in this overseas battle, or this, internal battle, fighting your own waters, something happened in the mainland, right, that was talking about limits and restrictions. And maybe that was the reason that you left in the first place. Oops. Right? It's like you wanted to go beyond the limits. You wanted to explore beyond the safe harbor, in a sense, which is interesting because the first part is all about the arrival. So the extended here is now showing me this other point of view that, like, maybe it's like a preview, or like a, not a preview, retrospective, right? Retrospective. Yeah, I think that's the word. It's like when you're going back in time to understand why you left in the first place, right? And so here, the reason perhaps behind your decision to leave and to explore your own demons, right? Or like the unknown creatures of the open seas, let's put it that way, right? It's like you didn't want to be restricted by the norms or by the confinement or by the limits of that safe harbor, of that region, of that home, right? Of that safe place, right? One that was very grounded. But for you, for some reason, it was not enough, and you wanted to go further. You wanted to explore beyond that harbor, right? So this is where it gets really funny, actually, because here we have the Queen of Wands, and you coming here is the Page of Wands. So remember, this Six of Wands are those people who were, it's like they stayed waiting for you, right? They were there when you left, and they were there when you came back home, and they are cheering for you. It's like they were cheering for you in the beginning when you decided to go, and here now that you're back. And this very joyful reception, right? It's like this welcoming back home, but the joy was still there since you decided to departure, right? It's like that is the reason why you maybe were able to keep that balanced state. And I feel like this is what this Queen of Wands was giving you as like a farewell advice, right? And you were listening very closely. I feel like there is like, a child and mother kind of bond here. So maybe because you were inexperienced, it's like you didn't know much about the world out there or the seas out there, right? You just you had the desire, the internal pull to go, right? Because you didn't want to be restricted by where you were. So this one very wisely, and maybe even like understanding your desire to explore, right? It's like they hold within themselves this same desire, or perhaps they have done the same when they were your age, Cancer, right? So they gave you this advice to give you, it's almost like give you their blessing, but also like words of wisdom so that you could carry with you, right? When you were in the middle of, chaos, essentially having to fight this on your own, but knowing that energetically they were holding this very harmonious space for you and joyful. It's like they were holding their hopes high so that influenced you. It's like that reached you no matter how far you were, Cancer. That reached you in a sense that was inspiring you to not lose hope yourself, you see? So I feel like this is part of like everything that they could contribute before you left, right? And so with this card coming next, the Sun. So the first thing that I saw actually was this scene of, this, let's call it this mother talking to this child, which is you, Cancer, and pointing towards the sun. And because these two are coming from the fire element, so it's like you both understand this spark, right? This desire, this hunger for movement, for illumination, for just seeking out adventure, right? Because it's like you want to explore this it's like something that is it's like source of light, source of empowerment, source. It's almost like you don't know the source until you travel to it. And this is what perhaps they did this, exploration trip too, and now was your time to do so, Cancer. And so before you left, actually, they were pointing towards the sun and talking about, I know what you're looking for. I know that is an incredible pull. It is very strong. It is very empowering. It is very truthful. It's filled with this sense of joy and upliftment and just this personal fulfillment, right? This satisfaction of just wanting to get closer to the sun in a sense, right? Get closer to the source of light. But the other thing that I was seeing here is that just to make sure that their light was with you along the way, even though they weren't there physically with you, what they were saying was, remember, when you are looking for this, when you are heading towards the sun, I am there with you because I am part of this light. And what they were saying so brilliantly, I want to say, is that the way that they did so was so gentle and so wise, but also so humble, is that they were not saying, look, when you are facing the sun, when you are needing some enlightenment, remember that I am going to be there with you because I am the sun. What they were telling you before you left is that you are the sun too. And that's why you are feeling this pull to go, to explore, to seek further, right? It's like because you want to understand your essence as well, just as I did when I was your age. And this is so gorgeous because I feel like this was keeping you alive in a sense when you were, you know, being buried with layers and layers and layers of, it's almost like layer, you know, when a seed is planted, and you know the image of a seed is also here coming through later on, but when a seed is planted, it has to be buried very deep into the earth, right, to have the resistance, so that, you know, the roots and, you know, the plant itself has, you know, develops the strength to become a beautiful tree, a beautiful flower, right? So I feel like that was the whole process that you, well, I don't feel like you went seeking this, but this was part of it, right? In seeking this illumination, this enlightenment, you found this. And you had to, it's almost like you, with your intelligence, with your knowing that what was always guiding you was the light of the sun. It's like you could never let yourself be buried completely, that you lost sight of this guiding light that was out there, because it's like it was the presence of not only what you were seeking for yourself, but also the presence of this careful being. It's like this loving being that just really were there, right? It's like they were there with you. They were there illuminating your path. They were there shining their light, because they are the sun, and so are you. And they were trying to make you see that, but you had to go out there and explore it, you know, apart from the affirmation of this one, right? And so here, with these two cards, the Page of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles, this is where this source of light that maybe felt a little too far away from you, right? Or like hard to grasp, hard to really make sense of what is the real power of the sun. What is the real power of your essence, right? How is it that you shine so brightly and it's like this light never ends, this light never dies, right? How do you keep finding the light in the darkest moments where you are being buried with layers and layers of earth that are, you know, trying to, well, not cut you off from this brightness, but it's almost like bringing all of the resistance so that this seeking is valuable. It's like it's almost like you developing that skill, right, between the Nine of Swords and the Nine of Cups that we talked about. So it's like you were always seeking out the sun. You were always trying to, you know, face the sun, and this never died. It's like you never let this sun light die. It's like it was always there, shining brightly and guiding you and reminding you that you had the support of this one, right? Because they are the sun. And seeing that sun was almost like seeing them there with you. And so this is the arrival back home, right? When you come back and take your place. And this is something that came up in the Taurus reading, take up your place, right? Take up your place in on the table. But here your place is more like, it's not like a seat, right, at the table. It's more like you coming back home to the point where it all began, right? So coming back to that safe harbor in a sense. Here we have two pentacle cards, the same, you know, not immature, but in a sense like inexperienced energy that we saw dealing with the queen, but now it's the king. And I feel like this is all you, because remember, the advice that the Queen of Wands gave you, Cancer, is that not only they were the sun, but you were too. And that's the reason why they understood you so well, because they understood this life force that was calling out for you, because they experienced that before. But for them, because they had been through that, it's like it was a tangible concept. And this is what these two cards are talking about. It's like, it's only when you come back with that lived experience that you are able to, it's like, to really incorporate it. It's like, it's part, well, this is all that we were talking about here, right? With the Nine of Swords and the Nine of Cups. It's like you were embedding in your cells, in your, you know, in the water, in your body, every single aspect of this journey, every single harmful experience, every single tough moment, right? It's like the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I want to say, like, more ugly moments than ever. But you developed this incredible skill that now you carry with you in your DNA, in your body. And it's no longer this distant concept that is hard to grasp, that is just being told to you. This is something that you have lived, and because of that, you are no longer this Page of Pentacles. It's like you are becoming the King of Pentacles, Cancer. And I want to say, it's like this shift, right? So it's like, when you set out on this journey, maybe you were this young, or maybe you were this unprepared, just naive maybe, but all of the things that you've been through, right? And how you managed to do so on your own, and how you managed to come back home, right? After so much resistance. It's like you have showed to yourself, I want to say, that seeking out something that, you know, might be too far away to touch or to reach, right? It's like, it's an incredible adventure that, you know, others might have tried it and never accomplished it, right? But you did, because you brought it back home. It's almost like you went, you touched the sun, and you brought it with you, because you incorporated exactly what that Queen of Wands was talking about. You know, when they were giving this advice that might, you know, have sounded a little bit out there, it's like, how come you were the sun? Okay, I'm going to believe it because I want to, you know, I want to have you with you. I want to have you with me along the way. But maybe you couldn't really bring it to the point that you knew what she was talking about all along. That was this sense of being the same as the source, not being something separated from it or distant from it, right? And here it is, this moment of, well, I want to say this magical moment, because we're ending here with a magician, right? And I feel like it's almost like this is the upgrade, or this is the graduation moment where you feel like you are, it's like you're ready now, you know, after being overseas for so long, or at sea for so long, and being in this battle that you couldn't sleep, that you couldn't, it's like you had to keep on fighting against these layers of darkness, right? It's like you went through that. Now that you're back home, now that you are back in this safe harbor, you can relax and you can understand what was the meaning of the advice that was given when you first left, and now coming back, how this makes sense to you in a more tangible kind of way, in a way that you understand how the magic occurs, right? It's like, if you really couldn't see what she meant when she said that she is the sun and so are you, Cancer, it's not just this metaphor for, you know, keeping you company when you need it, right? It's like, it's part of this magician's magic. It's like, it's part of the, it's like part of understanding your magical essence. It's like your spiritual essence, or who you truly are, in a sense, like, or who you truly can become in a physical human kind of way, right? It's like well, that's the thing, right? If you stayed here in this limit, in the limits of, the safe harbor, maybe you were always going to stay in this page undeveloped state, right? And I feel like because you went out there, you risked yourself and survived, in a sense, and kept yourself alive, and feeding your own hopes, right, of coming back home and being greeted, being received with all of that excitement and all of that joy, right? But more than that, it's like understanding that the way that intense journey developed your own growth, your own maturity, your own skills, right? Your own essence, but bringing it to the highest level, to the level that you understand, like you understand what being the sun means, right? Because you are a sparkle of it. You are, your light comes from the sun. So you are essentially from the sun. You are the sun, right? And you see the magic in it because it's no longer this distant concept, but it's something that you are, it's almost like you are putting this hat of the magician over your head, right? So you are incorporating it. And this is what the Two Pentacle cards are talking about. It's like you are stepping into this very powerful understanding, really, of what you went through, like how hard it was and how hard you fought, but how important and how remarkable is this life experience that now you hold deeply embedded in your cells and in your memory, that it's just adding to the magic of your being, right? Is enriching your essence, enriching your soul, enriching your body, enriching your being as a whole. So let's see what the astrological runes have to add as a final guidance for you, Cancer. Okay. This is interesting. So we have Jupiter, and I believe Gemini also had Jupiter as one of the two runes that came out for them. So Cancer, for you, this Jupiter is coming through with the similar message that came for Gemini, which is the reward after this long battle that you fought, right? So all of the opportunities that you had to go and explore and, well, grow from it, right? Expand your horizons. The only ways that you could do so was leaving the safe harbor and going out into the seas and exploring the open waters that were in front of you, right? It's more or less like that movie Moana, right? I just love that movie. But so, this Jupiter is talking about this exponential growth, but everything that brings some sort of illumination and brightness and just being this beacon of light, right? It's like you are the beacon of light. And this is beautiful because it's almost like you have this, it's like this bright touch, like, you are holding this magician's wand, and it's almost like maybe you have developed such ability, such skill, that now you are capable of incorporating these two very big essential energies that are you, but now that they are, in this other exponential level, that it's like you can open opportunities for others. This is what I'm getting from this Jupiter here. It's like the opportunity that you received to go on this adventure. It's like you are capable of showing other people, you know, opening opportunities for other people, I want to say. So, Cancer, I hope this was insightful to you. Thank you so much for being here with me, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.